Hey, what's going on, y'all? It's Nick again with another financial video. And today I'm going to give you my top 5 reasons on why using your credit card is better than using your debit card. Now, before we start, I want to make sure that you understand that I'm not advocating for everyone to go out and get all these credit cards and, crank up your utilization rate and just get all these hard inquiries on your credit report. There's a responsible way to do this. And if you do it in a responsible way, you can get all these perks for using your credit cards. If you want an extra video on detailing how to use your credit cards responsibly, let me know down in the comments and I'll get one of those prepared later. So without further ado, I want to ask you to hit that like button. It'll really help out my channel to push this video out to millions and trillions of people. And maybe just hundreds of people, but that'd be good enough, right? So now let's begin. The first reason I have why using credit is better than using debit is because it helps your credit history and your credit score, right? And the way it does this is by 3 ways. First is your utilization rate. Okay, so what is your utilization rate? The utilization rate is the amount of overall credit you're using for your purchases. And this goes between all of your credit cards, right? Not just one specific. So the general rule of thumb initially was you want to keep your utilization rate below 30%, right? So let's say you have an overall credit limit of $100. 30% of 100 is $30. So you don't want to spend more than $30. However, ideally, you want to keep your credit utilization rate anywhere between like 2 to 9%. And that's how you can get your most efficient utilization rate out there, okay? Now, the way you really can bolster your utilization rate is by increasing your credit limits. So the more credit cards you have, the higher your overall credit limit you'll have. And, you can also call your credit card company to, get your card limits increased, right? So my credit limit currently is about $38,000, right? And so it's really easy as far as like my bills and overall purchases go to, stay around that 4% utilization rate because for my expenses, my line of credit is very high, okay? Now, the last way this will help your credit history and credit score is by the lines of credit that you have. So ideally, you want about 5 lines of credit, right, on your credit history. So that's, credit cards, a mortgage payment and whatnot. But let's just keep this to credit cards specifically. So you want to have at least 5 credit cards, and you don't have to get them all at once. Just maybe within a span of 2 years or so, get about 5 credit cards, and that will allow you to get the most efficient way, of maximizing your lines of credit. So all 3 of these combined, whatever, is really going to help bolster your credit score, right? And once you get these, you're going to see your credit score shoot to the moon, all right? But make sure you do it responsibly, okay? The next thing is your credit cards offer fraud protection. Now, there are certain banks that have debit cards that do offer fraud protection in certain ways, but the majority of debit cards don't offer much when it comes to fraud protection. So what that means is, if somebody steals your debit card and they swipe a purchase, your money is out of your account instantly, and it's going to be, a lot of times it'll be a pain in the ass to get that off. And believe it or not, at times it can actually hurt your credit score, because you're having to go through like all these bureaus and stuff like that to make sure that, they understand that this isn't your problem. But, it's just going to take some time. Now, when it comes to credit cards, right, the majority of credit cards have some kind of fraud protection. So if you didn't swipe your card, then you can call your credit company and tell them, hey, this isn't my purchase. And the good thing about that is when you swipe your credit card, money isn't taken initially out of your account. And the majority of credit cards offer zero liability coverage. So that means you're not out of the hole for anything that happens to you. And that's good, right? I think the best example that I heard was, listen, if somebody is to rob you, would you rather have your own money in your pocket, debit card, or would you rather have somebody else's money in your pocket, credit card, right? Think about that. The majority of us would rather have other people's money. Okay. Now, this is where we get to the good stuff. Another thing on another reason why you should use credit over debit is because a lot of credit cards have what's called a one-time bonus. So what does that mean? Okay, for example, I have the Chase Freedom Flex card. Well, it's actually the Chase Freedom Unlimited card, but they're pretty much the same. And what that allows me to do is it gives me $200 back after I spend $500 within the first 3 months. So think about that. I spent $500 and they just give me $200 of that back. So I really only spent $300. Find a debit card that'll let you do that, okay? And also, I have the American Blue Cash Everyday card, and when I did get that, I believe it was $150 back after spending $500, right? So that's still good. And there's a lot of other credit cards that offer one-time cashback bonuses, right? After you spend a certain amount after each month. So that's another reason. All right, so next page. Okay, so another reason why you should use credit over debit is because the majority of credit cards, since there's so many and it's so competitive, they give you perks. Some give you travel benefits, right? So for the Chase Freedom Unlimited, it actually gives you 5% cash back on travel purchase through the Chase portal, right? But to be even more specific, I just got the Chase Sapphire Preferred card, and once I spend $4,000 within the first 3 months, which given my bills that'd be relatively easy, but then the first 3 months, they give me 60,000 reward points, and that's going to equal up to about $750 in cash towards travel benefits. Okay, and look, we understand through this pandemic, travel is relatively cheap, so that should pay for my whole trip whenever I take one, and maybe a night of hotel stay. But regardless, it's going to save me some money on that trip. Next, a lot of credit cards offer insurance protection. So if you're going out of town and you're renting a car, the majority of rental companies, they're going to say, hey, we have this protection that you can purchase through the card. Well, don't do that, because if you have a credit card that gives you rental protection, you can just use your credit card and it's automatic, and so you won't be out of money for that, right? And also, some cards offer trip cancellation. So if something happens to where you can't go on a trip, or you got to cancel for some reason, your credit card will allow you to cancel that trip, right? Even if you're technically not allowed to cancel that trip. And other protections is, cell phone protection, right? Up to a certain amount of year and etc. But still, again, these are things that you won't get through your debit card. And the last perk that I have down here is, certain credit cards give you certain discounts at certain times through certain stores, right? So the Chase Freedom Flex specifically, a lot of times maybe during, since it has like revolving cash back benefits, sometimes you'll get a big percentage off if you shop at Walmart or through Amazon, especially during Christmas. It's stuff like that, to where you'll get discounts at certain stores during certain times, and a lot of these times are like the most important times. And once again, you don't get a debit card that's going to give that back to you. And lastly, there's a bunch of credit cards out there that give you cash back rewards, right? Now, earlier, I talked to you about the one-time cash bonus on the credit cards that give you, $200 back after $500 spent within the first 3 months, right? But also, for example, on my American Express card, right, they give me 3% back on groceries that I purchase, 2% back on gas, and then 1% back on everything else. Right? And even on my Chase Freedom Unlimited, I get 3% cash back on dining, 3% cash back on drugstores, right? 5% cash back on travel booked through the Chase portal. And by the time I had gotten the card initially, they had a special one-time limited offer to where now for a whole year, I get 5% cash back on groceries, up to about $1,500 or something like that, I believe. I don't remember the amount, but think about that. Every time you go to the grocery store, every time you get gas, every time you get groceries, you're getting a percentage of that money back. You don't get any money back on your debit cards, right? And so, the funny thing is that, okay, 2% cash back doesn't really seem like a lot, right? That's like 2 cents back on $100 or something like that, right? But over time, they accumulate, right? And so here's a good example of that. There's a podcast that I watch all the time, which is Earn Your Leisure. And there was a guy by the name of Him500, and he's like this credit card guru guy, you know what I mean? But he's a credit specialist. He really does what he talks about. And he talked about how he was able to use his accumulated credit reward points to spend $6,000 at Louis Vuitton, right? And so he swiped his credit card at Louis Vuitton, and he had so many reward points that he was able to redeem all of those points, and he really got $6,000 worth of Louis Vuitton clothes for free. Okay? So that's when we talk about over time, it accumulates, man. Like, this can really help out, especially if you're using it, if you have your credit limit up at a high portion, and you're able to spend more money, and then at the same time, you're able to keep your credit, your credit lines low, your credit utilization low, right? And you're able to increase your limit, like really when it comes to credit, the sky is the limit. Okay? So with that being said, y'all, those are my 5 reasons on why you should use your credit card over debit. But like I said, make sure you're doing it responsibly. And if you do it responsibly, you'll be able to get all these perks, and you'll be able to save a lot of money. All right. With that being said, y'all, my name is Nick. Hey, if you like this video, tell me down in the comments how it went. Give me a like. Any other videos that you want me to do, let me know. For those of you asking me to bring out another bartending tips and trick video, I promise y'all it's coming, okay? I got a lot of video ideas, and I'm looking to push these out, strong, right? These short videos that I'm able to do in a quick amount of time, all right? Don't forget to like the video, share, and subscribe to the channel. With that being said, you all, make sure you're safe out there, and until next time, peace out.